And just an advertisement for tomorrow's morning's talk. I hope that most of you will come for the incentive that I'll be showing the first sunspot drawing in colonial America for the very first time, because this is supposed to be lost for a very long time and no one seems to be able to find where it is. And all of a sudden last year, I kind of find it again. So it'll be a special treat in a sense. So now we'll talk about global warming. How many of you have heard about global warming? Oh, almost unanimous. But it is a long story, really. But I'm going to summarize it for you in this 45 minutes talk. But it took me only 30 years to figure this out. It really takes a long, long time. One more lesson for the student is that indeed you're not supposed to understand everything at this single talk, because I tend to talk very, very fast. What? The mic? Okay. Okay. I want everybody to know that you're not supposed to learn this in one sitting. So the opportunity is that the talk will be recorded, and that you should be listening to this talk over and over again, for your homework. And then also the slide will be available if any of you want it. So you just write email to me or contact Hal, right? So we will talk about global warming, and in terms of the problem, in terms of how you use thermometer to decide global warming, and there are indeed problems. And this is again IPCC. Any of you know what IPCC is? For the student. If you know, raise your hand. You don't? Come on. Okay, it's the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. They are a very big group. It's all built to try to create trouble for science, and it's basically an anti-science movement. Anyway, just to introduce who Willie Soon is. Willie Soon is rather popular in the sense that at once I beat Tucker Carlson in terms of number of viewership. I did a talk at the Independent Institute from Oakland, California, and at that time you can see that Tucker Carlson got only 800,000 views or something, and my talk got over 1 million views. But unfortunately, he got fired from Fox, so immediately he beat me. Because after that, people keep searching for who Tucker Carlson is, right? So he got more views than me now, so that's all right. Another thing to know is that you can ask ChatGPT, who is Willie Soon? Here's the standard answer you're going to get. Essentially say that Willie Soon, maybe not a scientist, he's corrupted, he don't like who's Reverend L. Sharpton, things like that, right? But mainly that it says that Willie Soon is funded mainly by fossil fuel companies, because I'm very oily, very corrupted, okay? In fact, there are people coming after me. The United States Congress, some of these congressmen, especially those from California, trying to arrest me, basically saying that I'm not telling the truth, right? So they are actually this sort of thing. And then I turned into this greedy old man who actually like to have war. So my picture is in among this, except for Clarence Thomas, so I'm not white, so I'm okay, I'm Asian. But we are considered a very bad guy who want to send kids to war and kill my own kids, and you, all of you, things like that. Obviously it's not true, but it's not a joke. These are all the memes running around the internet, so beware of the internet. Another thing that is well known about Willie Soon is that, in this day we have a problem in science, serious problem. Because science is now full of censorship. They do not want to debate science. Science is about debate, discussion, and facts and all that stuff and evidence, right? But they do not want to discuss global warming with us, because they say that we are not scientists. But we are scientists. So they are filing lawsuit in several cases in all the different counties in the United States. There are some at least over 30 to 40 cases now. But 18 of them, they pick me as a punching bag. So if you look into all these cases, that's actually that Willie Soon being considered as the villain. And then one more thing that is very immediate was, I think this is like December or last year, that John Kerry is very concerned about global warming, as you all know. That, he's willing to shake hands with this FBI most wanted guy. $50 million, if I could really go there and make rich myself, go arrest him, right? I mean, that seems to be the things to do, but unfortunately they still want to, arrest Willie Soon. Anyway, so what is Willie Soon? Willie Soon has been playing soccer for a long time. He's been playing at this kind of field. Unfortunately, I have to tell you, I'm happy to report to you that we are still scoring one. And Series Science is actually my company. So I decided to not work with any of this government stuff anymore. I decided to have my own company and start doing my work myself. And then I'm fighting against IPCC, but the score is 1-1. But you will see You may think that I'm being, trying to not to be fair here, but actually we're scoring a lot of gold. You should see in this particular talk, we probably score 5-6 gold, okay? So IPCC is, and we are playing on a slanted field, okay? So now, before we start, we're trying to find out what is this CO2 and all this other stuff about, right? So let's start with this particular video.
Mr. Chairman, panelists, let me just go right down the line real fast. What % of our atmosphere is CO2?
Basic question.
Take your best guess. You don't have to be accurate. All down.
Repeat that question.
What % of
He can't hear.
is CO2, carbon dioxide? Wild guess, it's okay.
About 5%.
Right?
I'll just follow you. We'll just,
I'll see their 5 and suggest that we know that transportation causes 49% of CO2, so that's why we're all working on energy transition.
All right. So what number do you think it is?
5.
Right? What about you? I didn't hear you, Mr. Ray.
7.
7. Did you have one, Mr. Boyd?
So we got a 5, 7,
The price is right.
8. I'm gonna get the high end.
High end.
Well, I appreciate that, and I don't mean to put you on ice. I ask a lot of people that because all we hear is climate change, CO2, CO2. I heard a couple of you on the panel saying you're looking to change your vehicles to electric, even though we don't have the electric grid. And me as a farmer, I wouldn't be real happy about running out and replacing $300,000, $500,000, $1 million pieces of equipment because someone wants it to be electric. The answer is 0.04%.
4%.
Not 1%, not 0.5%. It's 0.04%. It's gone up from 0.03 over the last couple decades. This is what we're being all contorted into doing, is this tiny change in CO2. If we get below 0.02, plant life starts dying.
So do you all know that, right? This executive who wants to control our life have no clue the amount of carbon dioxide in the air, and then they want to regulate. And they tell us to put in sacrifice, and it's a bit embarrassing, but it's not meant to embarrass us. This is real deal. These people really want to cut us off, right? They want to shut off everything without understanding anything. It's ridiculous in that sense. I hope they are embarrassed enough. In fact, more people should show this video. Well, that's why the other day a Spanish climate minister, only a few days ago actually, he went to a conference, he fly in with a jet, but then when it's near, they park the thing, go get the bicycle out, guys. It's a show. So I really wish I owned a private plane so I could really care about climate change too, right? And then they got this flying toilet. I guess it's some kind of electric toilet. This is very dangerous if you have something emergency. They will bring it to you, yeah. And then they start talking about kangaroo fire. They want to control every aspect of this thing. These are all micromanagers. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. It's all contradictory. You don't even have to do anything. These are all headlines, actual headlines from Science News. Anyway, sometimes we make it funny, no, not. And then these are aggressive. These are the people. They appear in Massachusetts, the center, in State House in Boston. They want to stop passing gas. They say gas is bad. My apology. Indeed, the most powerful government on earth cannot solve homelessness, but they want to change temperature by asking you to pay more taxes. This is that kind of nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I worked for this day in, day out for really over 32 years, and I really wanted to be whole truth, nothing but the truth. And that's the whole problem. I report to you, joking aside, this is a very serious problem. I mean, it's a non-problem, but later I'll ask all of us to read a particular line. And these are the kind of things, it's a war of technocracy. They're trying to say, we are all, farmers, or we are all this deplorable. We wouldn't know the difference between CO2 and all that, right? They are trying to tell you that they can capture, using this machine that planned and engineering and all that cost $4.5 million to take out certain amount of carbon dioxide in the air. First of all, nobody gave them the permission. And then that's equivalent to $7,000 worth of a plant, of just a tree, right? This is how crazy these people are, and then they really think that they're trying to control our life. So let's read this particular line. What is the problem of CO2 global warming? Let's read it together. I'm going to go one by one. Politicians are throwing away money that they do not have at a problem that does not exist in order to finance solution that makes no difference. That's basically what it is. Go home now. You're done. You graduated. There's no exam today. Now I want to point out a fact that is just so amazing that nobody even talk about it. John Kerry obviously ignored this kind of thing. This is the US CO2 emission, carbon dioxide from fossil fuel, okay? Look at the graph. It's interesting. It's from low and then go up, and then now it's been going down since about 2005 or so. So how many of you realize that we've been going down for 18% or so? How many of you realize about that? Is this the first time you see this? No one ever talk about this, okay? This is the fact. And then so, you see, you can really change it. And somebody was complaining, oh, they were playing the charts and all that, but it's still the same number. It's going down by 18%, okay? Even with the most latest data estimate from 2023. So guess what happened, right? Why are they still want to cut down CO2 emission to do what exactly? It's not gonna change the level of the carbon dioxide in the air. That's the problem. And then the claim is that this carbon dioxide in the air in the concentration will change the climate, make more hurricane, this and that, so on and so forth. I can give you the whole bunch of the claim, but it's all not true. There's nothing of that is science, okay? And then you have to deal with the problem. Yes, indeed, United States has been going down. Look who is going up. China, yeah, exactly. Because we're buying more Chinese product, yeah? I think we should also buy less and less and less of this Chinese product. It's been going up. Would the Chinese government voluntarily trying to cut down the CO2 emission? No, they're actually not. They're demanding us to pay them to reduce carbon dioxide. We got to give them even more money. And then there's another important fact. You can say United States is only cover only 5% of the area of the whole world, but then it consumes like 25% of the carbon dioxide. But if you look at the global data itself, it's also been, the estimate, you see, science is about numbers. It's been going up and down. It's actually been flat. That's another fact. The whole globe, when we calculate all the CO2 emission, it's been flat for 1 decade. What does it do to the climate? Climate does what it does. It's mostly natural, actually. I'll show you an example of that. So it's not doing anything. This is because of the estimate, okay? And the carbon dioxide still keep going out. So it's a puzzle. All these scientists who claim this, claim that, it's just talking nonsense through their mouth, okay? So why is the CO2 carbon dioxide keep coming up if the CO2 emission is actually flat? This is a puzzle in science, by the way. And everybody is ignoring this. It's true that it's sad that no one wants to talk about this. These are all bald-faced facts that you can find on the internet if you choose to. And this is why they ignore things like this. They ignore a powerful volcanic eruption like this, for example. This is at Mauna Loa where they measure this thing. Nature is very powerful, okay? So quickly I'm going to jump into what we're going to talk about. I will not focus on all these 5 claims. The main claim, as I say today, I want to address the question how you decide global warming from thermometer station, right? And then I only want to make a main claim that the IPCC claim that only, you know that we know thermometer. It depends on where your thermometer sit, right? If it's in the center of New York City or it's in Tokyo and things like that, it's extremely hot because urbanization. You build up more buildings. At night, all the heat got retained. And then this heat are hitting the thermometer. And what are you measuring? Anybody care to tell me what are you measuring in those kind of city? You're measuring urbanization. You're not measuring climate. It's not real climate in the air, right? It's not. So that's the problem. And my claim today is that after 30 years of working, we actually can demonstrate this problem in all the thermometer data in the world that is used by IPCC, US National Academy of Science, NASA, the NOAA. You all know what the NOAA is, right? National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. These are very big group operated by Department of Commerce. They have about $100 billion of budget because all the weather satellite is controlled by them. They have that kind of funding budget, okay? So the first claim is that IPCC claimed that the temperature has been warming up, which is the black curve there, okay? And then they claim that the sun and the nature, all the natural process cannot explain. But that's not so important. Today we want to talk about temperature data. You know that urban city is hotter, right? In the inner city, on the outside rural area, is much cooler. So measuring temperature, you have to be very careful where you put your thermometer, okay? And this is the kind of problem. But the problem of urban warming has been known since 1820 by a person named Luke Howard in London. They already observed the phenomenon. In the center of London, it tend to be a few degrees warmer than outskirts. It's been known for a very long time, this phenomenon. So one has to be very, very careful. If you jump forward, you can see in the city heat map of Paris. So red there means up to 21 degrees Celsius, and then blue part is 16 degrees Celsius. That's 5 degrees centigrade. That's about, double that of Fahrenheit. It will be like 10 degrees, okay? The difference between the center of the city and outskirts. And then you have also very urbanized area like Singapore, right? A lot of red, warm area. And these all have nothing to do with climate, really. It's just urbanization, concrete building. And this problem has been known for a very long time. My colleague and I, these two are the Irish colleagues that I work with, Dr. Ronan and Michael Connolly. We've been actually studying this data set for a very long time. From the United States, NOAA collected all this data. So we can classify station into urban, intermediate, and then fully rural area. If you study the value of the data, okay, one example of urbanization is one of my friends, the meteorologist Joe Bastardi. He focused on Penn State because he lived around that area. So he given an example. Before all this 1978, the building around the center station X marks there was not there. So it shows you the urbanization, even building around the thermometer station will affect the result, isn't it? That's why the measurement from this area always warmer than anything outskirts, let's say near his own house. Joe Bastardi lived very near Penn State, right? And then he showed this effect, it's very clear. And then the bottom line is that if you compare the most urban station, which is the red line up there, and then with the most rural, you can see that the behavior of the graph beginning to look very different, does it? Because it looks like there's a very warming trend. And the bottom line showing the difference. And that difference is huge. 0.5 degrees Celsius or 1 degree Fahrenheit per century. That's a very big effect. That's basically all the global warming they're talking about, essentially. So I'm very convinced with all this data analysis, we cannot say that it's actually a global warming, actually. There's no global warming in that sense. So we and my colleague, I have been building this group called series-sign.com. We've been working with all kinds of colleagues who's willing to just set our differences, focus on science. So we have this European group that's been working with us. So we publish papers. Science is about thinking, analyzing data, looking at data, collecting data, this and that, and trying to understand things. So we publish scientific papers. There's a big group of these 9 scientists who wants to work with us and give us some information about their own data in Europe. By the way, no one in USA want to work with me. But look at how many people in Europe want to work with us, right? Because they won't give us the data. That's another problem in science. Science, the data is supposed to be freely available for everybody to study. Even if you say you are a student, you want the data, they should give it to you. They shouldn't say, oh, you little kid, you shouldn't be studying this. No, you demand that I want to look at the data, isn't it? So with this group of scientists, we are able to get data. The data we need is very, very important. I want to show some example. So we got data from them. So it showed that the red dot is basically a station that we have this called historical metadata, which means at the particular location. So they've been measuring, let's say, thermometer for 100 years. We want to know what have happened in the changes during that time, 100 years, let's say, right? So you have to record that. You know what? Our United States NOAA group say that you don't need this. You can use computer to handle this problem. So we show you one example for Czech Republic, one particular station. And I show you, the blue curve are the time in which that there are actual changes in that particular station. All the red one, okay, are actually shifted by the computer. Do you understand? The computer tell you that the station has shifted in 14 occasions, but there's only 3 of them is real. So you understand, right? This is a problem of analysis. These people are introducing something very strange in it. So the bottom line for this particular work is basically we show that 17% of the adjustments are applied consistently, but less than 20% of these are documented changes, which mean all artificial. So you're not only having problem with not having the data, but they actually adjusted the data to make it warmer in some sense. That only 20% of the time is correct. You know, when you do a test and then you get 20%, I don't think you want to tell your parents that I'm doing really great. I'm a super A student, right? It's very bad. This is very bad for Noah and Noah for most of the people in the world. So how good, I ask the question, are the IPCC telling that the globe is warming? I would say not good at all, right? This is why this particular quote is very, very illuminating. It says that a man who uses an imaginary map, thinking that it is a true one, is likely to be worse than someone with no map at all. This is the kind of misleading things that has been very confusing, actually. It took us years and years and years to try to fight those, to get those information. We could have done that 20 years ago if everybody worked together as science. This whole global warming thing has been a political movement from day one, okay? Now I want to report on another important point. There are a lot of people telling, many people, in fact, this is why they don't want debate. We have published scientific papers. So with my good friend, Dr. Ronan Connolly and Michael Connolly, we lead this particular group of scientists all over the world. Look at how many of them, 23 co-authors from 14 countries, and we cited about 530 references. That's a very serious study. And by today, we have 50,000 downloads. And we analyze temperature data and analyze what can cause the temperature data to change. So just simple question. But that's the question that everybody wants to answer. But if you answer in the wrong way, if you say CO2, you will get funding immediately. If you say, no, maybe it's the sun, we show that it's the sun. Oh, then you get zero funding, or you get kicked out of Harvard, you get all these things, you know. But it's okay, we're all fighting for the truth, isn't it? But you know, really, you have to be very careful. I'm a very serious scientist. I want nothing but the whole truth. So we analyze this, publish this long paper, and here's the main result of this particular work, okay? So what we found out is that we can do data like this. We can take all the thermometer stations from both the rural and the urban and combine them together, produce a temperature series that look like this on the left. And then we ask a question, what if we take the temperature station only from the rural station? Because we want to avoid the urbanized station, isn't it? So we produce a curve. Do you think that the curve on the left and the right are similar? No, right? They're different, isn't it? It's basically the nature of how the change happened over 150 years or so, right? From 1850 to about 2022 or something. It's basically that from the left, you can see it's strict warming, right? And then on the right, you basically have warming, cooling, okay? Now we ask, next we want to know what is happening. But I want to give you another example that's very important. Okay? So the difference of the warming trend you can see is already almost half of it. Okay, 0.8 to about 0.5, 0.6. Now I want to show you one simple example, just to prove to you, because science is about proof. The top part again is the rural station only. And then I show you that for the exact same station, if we add the urban station, it's showing the similar trend. What I'm trying to prove to you is that indeed, we are able to recover everything that IPCC has produced. You know how many thousands of scientists they say they have produced? Science is about that. You should be able to replicate the results. And then if you have an alternative hypothesis, you generate it, just like what we have done. So this is one graph that you show. That's actually just a lot of line inside there, but they all fit exactly. It just fit. It shows you that our results agree exactly like them. Do we agree? There's no differences between the orange one, which is most of the result, and then the black one is our result. We can replicate them, right? I'm successfully doing. But the only trick we do here is to use rural and urban station. Do you understand? This curve is no good. This is what IPCC is using this curve to tell everyone that the globe is warming. Finally, after 32 years of working, it's serious. You cannot do this in one day, really. Not so easy. So it's a lot of struggle because technical details, all this stuff, uncertainty. Just give you an example of all the different graphs, how they look like, and then our own curve. We can produce exactly like what they produce. But then we don't think that that is the right curve. So this is what IPCC proposed you to use. Okay, right here. And then I want to tell you that if you want to study the sun effect, IPCC proposed that you use the red line. So it kind of not fit, isn't it, right? Agree? Do we agree? Not fit? That's why IPCC say that, oh, the temperature is global warming. It caused only by CO2, the carbon dioxide, the man-made part of the carbon dioxide, and then the sun couldn't explain this. If IPCC is correct, I actually will go home already. I say, yeah, all done. They are correct. Finish. Then what they want to do, I don't really care, okay? They want to change climate. I don't think it's so easy, okay, by the way. So the next one I want to show you, this is my curve, the one that I believe to be the true representation of the climate system, okay, for the last 150 years. And then if you ask yourself, can the sun explain it? Absolutely yes. That's the result that we published in that paper, right? That is another estimate. But IPCC tell you that don't look at that sun estimate, use only that one that they recommended. This is really a very gangster kind of scientist. You know, we say that there's a government gangsters, you know. Now these are really gangster scientists. They are very bad people. They don't follow any rules. They hide their result. They don't give you the data. And then if you ask them for debate, they don't want to debate you. All they do is that you're a fossil fuel company. Think, I don't know what to do with these people. But it's terrible. This is what science is happening today now. It's in a very, very bad shape. I felt bad for the student, really. You have no opportunities to learn any new things in the sense that because these people only have one direction. They have a simple, that narrative that they want to say is CO2 driving this, driving that. And if you actually even say some of that in your class, I don't know if you have experienced any of this, but if you're in colleges, I think they will be much more strict. They will be like, if you're going against them, but you should be able to talk to people like us or have some data to ask them questions, because it's not going to be possible, because this is essentially an absolute lie. You cannot keep on lying forever, isn't it? How long will you stop lying? I have no idea. All I know is that that's what the nature of the thing is. It's politics leading the science instead of science leading politics, right? Science informing public policy is the reverse now, right? So we're having that problem. And this is why, here's one last scientific graph. By the way, this is why I encourage you to ask for the slide and study the slide carefully, because all the numbers are important, really. But here's another numbers for you to remember. This is basically January to December. Is to compare the sun's energy input, okay, over 1 month. This is over globe, of course, right? You can also do it for USA, so you got to do those kind of things. And then if you ask yourself, what is the CO2 changing? It's basically this tiny red part. And for only one season, over 1 year, every year we change by about 22 watt per meter square. And look at 150 years, this is how much of CO2 we added, 1.1. And then they expect us to say that the CO2 is going to beat the sun and really control the climate system. It's impossible. The energetics has to be only nothing but the sun, really. And even the energy, the so-called 1.1 is actually a retransformed energy from what the sun has already inputted to the climate system. This is why the idea of CO2 causing global warming is extremely weak. I mean, I can categorically stand here to say that I don't think it's true. It's completely wrong, and it's a very terrible situation in the sense that I can only try to continue to speak about the science until they put me in jail, kill me, who knows what. All I know is that you can see politicians, when I don't speak their language and all that, they're trying to propose that, they should do something about these people, right? So be careful in that sense. For young people, of course, I make a decision that I want to be in science, I will do science, I will continue to do science. So I think for now, I'll stop, and then I hope everybody will show up tomorrow. And tomorrow I have a slightly longer talk, so hopefully I can talk over like more than 45 minutes, or maybe do 50 minutes or so, okay? But come on by tomorrow, you'll learn something about the 17th century, where I point out a specific period, where we will learn a little bit about history of the sun, and then also talking about societal chaos happened most of the time during very cold period. Because 17th century was a cold period, and then the sun activity was very, very weak, exceptionally weak, that's why. And then we demonstrate, and then how that is connected. And then I want to throw in a few other factors. But the fun part in between that, I'm going to show you the first sunspot drawing of America that was found. It was actually observed in 1739 by John Winthrop, right? John Winthrop of Harvard University. Okay, if you have questions, please ask questions, and then please ask for the slide. The slide will be available somehow, okay? Contact me or contact Hal, we'll send you the slide. Thank you.